I remember standing in my late father's lawyer's office, my hands shaking, a stale taste in my mouth as if I had swallowed betrayal itself. He looked at me, Mr. Carmichael, our family attorney for over 20 years, and said, "I'm sorry, Emily. According to the updated will, everything goes to your brother." My heart stopped. "Wait, what?" I whispered, gripping the edge of the oak desk. "That can't be right. My dad would never, he promised," he told me. I had cared for my father for 8 years while my brother, Tyler, hadn't even visited him twice. I gave up grad school. I moved back in. I wiped tears and clean vomit. I was there when he forgot my name. And now? Now I was being erased. Have you ever felt like your entire existence was invisible to the people who should have seen you most? Comment I relate if you've ever felt replaced by your own family. My name is Emily Carter, and growing up, my family wasn't perfect, but my relationship with my dad was my anchor. I remember the summer I turned 16. Dad took me fishing at Lake Tahoe. It was just the two of us, the sun melting into the water. And for once, the noise of the world faded away. He taught me how to bait a hook, told me stories about his childhood growing up in Oregon, and laughed until his eyes crinkled. Dad wasn't just a parent, he was my best friend. After college, when I moved to San Francisco, I called him every Sunday night without fail. We'd talk about everything, my job struggles, his garden, his old war stories. He had a quiet strength, but beneath that, he was soft-hearted and endlessly proud of me. When he got sick, everything changed. I put my life on hold to care for him. I moved back home to Sacramento, took night classes to finish my degree online, and spent every day making sure he was comfortable. Tyler, my older brother, lived in New York. He was successful, always busy, always distant. But Dad never judged. He told me once, "Family isn't just about blood. It's about who shows up." I believed that, I knew that. I thought my father knew that too. But sometimes, love and loyalty aren't enough to protect what's yours. It started small, little comments from Tyler that I brushed off. Like the time Dad was in the hospital, and Tyler texted, "Why are you always the one there? Maybe Dad needs a break from all this." I read the message over and over. Was he serious? After everything I'd done? Then, at Dad's birthday dinner, Tyler arrived late, dressed sharply, flashing his usual smirk. "Emily, you look tired. Maybe you should take a break sometime," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. I clenched my jaw. I'm here because I want to be. Mom, who usually stayed neutral, just smiled awkwardly and changed the subject. Later, in private, I confronted Mom. "Do you think I'm overdoing it?" I asked, voice shaking. She sighed. "Emily, Tyler has a point. Maybe you're too involved." Too involved? How could caring be too much? The biggest betrayal came when Tyler started showing up unannounced, telling Dad what to do, overriding my decisions. "Dad, Emily's being too emotional about this," he said during a visit. "You need to listen to me." Dad looked at me, confused and weary. I could see the cracks forming in the trust I'd built. I tried to stand my ground. "Tyler, I'm Dad's caregiver. I know what he needs." But Tyler's smirk never faded. "You think you know everything, don't you?" That night, I lay awake, wondering if Tyler's words were chipping away at Dad's mind, and if the people I loved were slowly turning against me. It was a cold Tuesday morning when I got the call that shattered my world. The sound of the phone ringing felt like a countdown to doom. When I heard the nurse's voice, calm but firm, I knew. "Emily, your father passed away last night." The room spun, the walls closing in. I dropped the phone, my knees buckled, and I sat on the floor, clutching the fading echoes of my father's last breath. I rushed to the hospital, the sterile smell mixing with the taste of tears in my mouth. I held his hand one last time, cold and still, the life I'd fought for slipping away. The funeral was a blur, distant faces, murmurs, the unbearable silence where my father's laughter should have been. Then came the gathering at my parents' house, supposed to be a family moment to grieve and remember Dad. But it turned into a battlefield. My mother sat beside Tyler, holding his hand tightly, eyes avoiding mine. When I approached to talk about the will, she smiled thinly. It's already been settled, Emily. Tyler is handling everything. I felt my throat close up. What do you mean? Dad promised me. Emily, we need to respect his last wishes. She cut in sharply. Tyler handed me an envelope, the will. I unfolded it, eyes scanning the words that stabbed like knives. Not a single mention of me. Everything, the house, the savings, Dad's beloved vintage car, all to Tyler. I looked up. How could this happen? Dad would never do this. Tyler shrugged. Dad changed his mind. Maybe he thought you weren't up to it. The room grew colder, the betrayal raw and undeniable. I left that day feeling like a ghost in my own family. Driving home, I tried to process it all, the years of care, the sacrifices, erased by a few signatures on a piece of paper. At night, my dreams were haunted by Dad's voice. Emily, don't let them take what's yours. That night, in the quiet darkness, I made a promise to myself. I wouldn't be erased. I wouldn't be silent. I would fight for Dad, for the truth, for my inheritance. The next day, I showed up at the house, not as the grieving daughter, but as a woman ready to claim what was hers. Tyler opened the door, surprise flickering in his eyes. Emily, what are you doing here? I held the will in my hand, like a weapon. I'm here to talk about this. He smirked. We've already settled everything. You're just stirring the pot. I took a deep breath. Dad never told me to leave everything to you. And I know you pressured Mom. He laughed bitterly. You think this is about pressure? It's about who deserves it. Deserves it? I repeated, voice rising. I was here every day, while you were busy living your life. I changed Dad's bandages, sat with him in the hospital, made sure he ate. What did you do? Tyler's jaw clenched. This isn't going to change anything. But I wasn't done. I pulled out an old photo album, pictures of Dad and me, the moments Tyler never cared to witness. Look at this, I said, sliding it across the table. Tyler glanced through, his smirk fading. Dad loved me, I said quietly. And I have proof. Mom appeared behind him, face pale. Emily, please stop. No, I said firmly. It's time the truth came out. I pulled a letter Dad had written years ago, tucked away in a drawer, a letter meant for me, but hidden. Here's what Dad really thought. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Tyler looked away. For the first time, I felt the power shift. I wasn't a victim anymore. I was a fighter, and I wasn't going anywhere. After that confrontation, the house felt emptier than ever, not just because Dad was gone, but because everything I thought was family had cracked wide open. Friends started calling, some offering support, others awkwardly avoiding the topic altogether. I noticed who really stood by me, my childhood best friend Rachel, who came over with homemade meals and endless listening ears. But there were others who vanished, pretending nothing had happened. Even my aunt, who used to be close to Dad, sent a cold text. Maybe it's better this way. Her words stung deeper than I expected. At night, I sat alone in Dad's favorite armchair, staring at the silence around me. Memories flooded back. Dad teaching me how to ride a bike, his laugh filling the kitchen, the warmth of family dinners that now felt like a distant dream. But the more I thought, the clearer it became. This wasn't just about money or possessions. It was about being seen, respected, and loved. I realized I had been mourning two losses, Dad and the family I thought I had. Sometimes I caught myself replaying old conversations, the times I was overlooked, the times my feelings were dismissed. It wasn't new. It was a pattern. Yet, despite the pain, I found a strange clarity. I could no longer ignore the truth hidden beneath the surface. I was done pretending. I was done hoping for their validation. Now it was about me healing, rebuilding, and deciding who truly belonged in my life. The road ahead felt uncertain, lonely even. But I was ready to walk it. Slowly, I began to piece my life back together. Like a shattered vase glued carefully so the cracks still show, but it's whole again. I started therapy, something I'd always avoided. At first, sitting there and spilling my pain felt like reopening old wounds, but bit by bit, it became my sanctuary. I learned to face my anger without letting it consume me, to recognize my worth beyond the betrayal. Rachel became my rock. She moved in temporarily, bringing laughter back into my apartment. We cooked, binge-watched old movies, and for the first time in months, I felt like I wasn't alone. I reconnected with an uncle I barely knew, someone Dad had trusted, but who had kept his distance. He showed up quietly, without judgment, offering a steady shoulder. He reminded me that family can be chosen, not just born into. Together, we set up a small foundation in Dad's name to help families going through loss. It gave me purpose, a way to honor his memory while helping others avoid the pain I endured. I also set firm boundaries. No more silent treatments, no more pretending everything was fine when it wasn't. I learned to say no to toxic visits and yes to healing spaces. Though some family ties remained broken, I felt lighter, like I was finally breathing again. The stolen inheritance wasn't just about money. It was about reclaiming my voice, my dignity, my story. And now I was ready to live it on my terms. If you've ever felt betrayed or abandoned by the people you called family, know that you're not alone. Family isn't always who shares your blood. It's who shows up when it matters most. I want to hear your stories. How have you fought back when life tried to steal your happiness? Share your truth in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please like, subscribe, and join our community where we lift each other up. Remember, your voice matters. And your story isn't over yet.